Absolutely. It's insane numbers when you look at it on the chalkboard compared to just driving the car and keeping the button on and key on. It's absolutely astonishing, and seeing is believing, Ron. And when we start to look at this, we start to realize the vital impact that we're having both to the environment, both to fuel consumption, as well as additional maintenance costs. As we continue on with this conversation, we're going to prove to others that this not only has an impact to the fuel consumption, but we're going to prove to how it has an impact to the maintenance cost in the cycles, and shortening those cycles by having idling in relationship to maintenance cost. And we haven't even touched on what it does to staffing by having to maintain vehicles more because the idle is impacting the maintenance. And we're going to prove that in our next series, which will be absolutely astonishing.
And this is so timely because, budgets have been slashed. Vehicles are, they have to keep them in service longer. There's all kinds of things going on. The technician shortage, what have you. And if you've got staff out there that are idling an average of 40% of your engine hours for virtually no business reason, you've got a big problem / opportunity.
Yeah.
So
I'll just add to that, Ron, just as a personal note. I just came from California, back to North Carolina, and what we're showing is a price of $5 a gallon. What we're experiencing in California is closer to $6 plus if it's diesel. So these numbers are even more astonishing when you get into certain environments on the West Coast where the dollars are more than $5 a gallon. We're talking $6+ a gallon.
Yeah, yeah. And so now if we insert your cost into the cascade of costs, 1,000 trucks, 2 hours, as folks can see here. So fuel is right at the top with 2.5 million right off the bottom line annually. We've got maintenance, which we've got some partners that we're working on qualifying and quantifying what these costs are, not least of which we'll be talking to Diesel Emissions Services. Carbon, you've got 4,444 tons. Then you've got life cycle, 2.25 million. We are just starting to go down this path. You've also got, in addition to the 4.75 million that adds up to, you've got vehicle downtime, employee productivity, air quality, safety risk, vacant vehicle idling. I see that all the time. And then the fleet's reputation in this time and this age of the race to cut carbon and green fleet leadership. So
yeah, absolutely. And not to mention the fact that we're all dealing with the impact, the financial impact from COVID and the supply chains and the increase of costs right across the board. We're all dealing with tight budgets, and now all we're doing is ignoring what's readily available to us to immediately reduce costs today. We don't have to install or buy anything.
We've been told by frustrated fleet managers that idle reduction isn't sexy. I'm writing an article on this. It's just not attractive to City Hall because they want those shiny EVs. They want that tangible. This is software as a service. You can actually deploy this across an entire city, an entire state, and sensitize hundreds of drivers over a relatively short period of time and start experiencing, a downward evolution to your idle time. So, we're looking forward to that next conversation, part 2 with you, Rix.
Yeah. Let's sexy it up, as we say, Ron.
So now listen, is there a way that we can correlate this to how much the life cycle would be extended? Is there any way you can attach a figure to that?
Yeah, well, absolutely. We can certainly come up with an algorithm, and we should probably look at this in our second series and show some examples of that, because we probably can't do it from the miles side of the equation, right? Because miles are miles. But what we can show is where we can show where the maintenance costs, and if you went back to my original chart and you looked at the maintenance costs, that's where we can put a dollar associated to maintenance. And if we go back to the profit
Okay,
software,
so just hang on 1 second here. All right, here we are again with your graph.
right. So we showed an example on the mile side, or the meter side, as we referred to it, with a 7.1 score, and that is all relationship to the amount of miles by idling. If we consider that each hour of idle is equal to 30 miles, right? So we know our miles are high in the point score. With respect to your question, is we can look now at the maintenance side, and we could put a score that is relationship to what's called maintenance and repair score. And we can say to ourselves, if we travel X amount of distance, that equals to X amount of cost per mile, and show that relationship, and then even reduce that point score even further down. If we said to ourselves, if we think about the fact, if we don't idle, maintenance cost gets reduced because unscheduled repairs can be diminished, because no longer wear and tear on an engine by idling, which is the hardest thing on an engine. So there's a clear relationship to the maintenance score, and we could draw a line there too if we want to, right? Showing the relationship. So it's all interconnected. We just can't see it because we don't think that kind of mindset. But when you start comparing it, it all starts to make sense, Ron.
So if you turn off the key, look at all the things that are possible.
Or push the button. Sometimes we don't have a key anymore, but
yeah, well,
exactly.
Exactly. Rick, this is phenomenal. I look forward to a second part of this conversation so we can talk about it more. And in fact, I invite questions. So anybody has a question for Rick on part 2, you let me know what that is. Okay, so email me at info@goidlefree.com. I'll put that in the show notes as well. And but this is phenomenal. Now, can you imagine a fleet manager who knows all this, but has a couple thousand employees, and he has to watch the idling going on? And it's that driver choice idling, and that's what we're really good at. So that's where the driver simply hasn't had an update in what he knows about proper idle management in a 21st century vehicle. He's still driving the vehicle as if it was built in the 60s.
Yep.
Restarts are bad, long warm-ups are necessary, and idling is good. But of course, that's all false today. And I really thank you for coming on the show and pointing this out. I'm really looking forward to getting into the next part as well. Rick, where can folks find you after they've seen your tremendous expertise here?
So you can find us at Longobart-Ross.com. You can reach me at 949-943-0334. You can also reach me by email at rick@longobart-ross.com. Feel free to reach out to either myself or Ron. We'd love to hear some feedback. Second episode, we'd like to maybe show you some more live examples. I think when you see it, it'll start to have a bigger impact. Seeing is believing, and we're happy to show that to you.
Great. Thanks, buddy. Hey, guess what? You know what? My head size has grown 2 inches since I've been hanging out with you. I think my brain's just gotten bigger.
Idle Talk with Ron Zima, Idle Free Guy, helping fleets cut costs and look like heroes.